truly heal, and this live broadcast of Hyperthermia at Home, this webinar. Now, sorry for the startup. We had a lot of complications. I switched on to the wrong camera, then everything shut down. So I'm starting again, and I still have all of your questions here. So I will be working through, check all your questions, and will give you as much information as I can. Now you can see behind me, we have our friends here, which are bacteria, viral load, fungal load, mold, all the things that we can deal with hypothermia really well. And we have on the other side, the hypothermia dome, where I will show you live how to set it up, what to do, and how to get it on its way. And we'll cover all of the basics that you need to know to do hypothermia at home or in your clinic. Now, I would like to work first through my slideshow, and I switch that on now to cover all of those basics that are really, really important that we understand. And if I turn on play, then that's not good. That's covering the whole screen. So it switched me back. I'm back here live. Screen share. Turning back on, and we just leave it in that smaller version. And I hope you can see it well. Let's just make it bigger, and I hope that works. All right. Now, healing at home is something that we would like to help you to set up a healing environment. Now, none of the treatments, none of the concepts that we share with you are dangerous or toxic or in any form difficult. They just allow you to create a healing environment that is supporting your health. And that's very, very important in regards to hyperthermia. And especially when you understand the concept of hyperthermia, it can be done by healthy people. I do it regularly, and I don't have cancer, and I can thrive with it. Sports people who go on to competitions, who travel overseas, who, Olympic players, they use hypothermia to boost their energy and to mobilize their immune system so that they don't get sick when they go somewhere else. And we'll cover that in the why. Research, there's plenty of research. This is not a voodoo, this is not a hearsay, this is a medical treatment which is now available in Australia in many places. There are some places in America that use it, a bit undercover. There are plenty of clinics in Germany, in Dubai, in Vietnam, everywhere. It's a normal fourth pillar of the cancer treatment protocol. So it's something very, very easy to find, plenty of research studies that it works. How? I will show you live. Then how often, very important, how to combine with other treatments, how to combine with antioxidants and IV treatments, how to be safe, why not, and a surprise at the end, as you can imagine. So let's just jump into the very first one, which is why you would do it. Well, simple, because disease is only the tip of the iceberg. If you have a problem, you have symptoms, then that's only the visible part. There is something underlying, something very big underneath, which can be stress, which can be deficiencies. And that brings us straight away to our next pillar, which is very, very important. All diseases, all degenerative diseases are triggered by one or a multitude of the following causes. Infections. Now, many of us have latent infections that are not really visible, but we've never cured it out. If you have used antibiotics and you've had the treatment, you still have all the cells, just without the membrane receptors in your body. They're still alive. And that's building up over time. Antibiotic is a lifesaver, but it's certainly not a long-term solution. And the natural means to deal with disease have been forgotten. And hypothermia is one of those. Toxicity, we have a huge amount of toxins in our environment, and to get rid of them is very important. Now, normally that's all done with your liver and with your kidneys, but that's pretty challenging to your system and taxing, and that's why detoxifying through the skin is very powerful. Deficiencies are not really covered with hypothermia, even though if you take supplementation, if you have IV, they're transported into the cell a lot more effectively. So let's say this is not blue, it's maybe orange. but it's not quite yet red. And then we have inflammation is drastically reduced. You know, inflammation is caused as a result of all other causes. You get inflammation because you have infections, you get inflammation because you have toxicity, and all of that inflammation can be reduced drastically with hyperthermia. And then stress. A lot of people call it one of the most powerful anti-stress remedies there is. And when you had a treatment, you know it lasts for a week. It really calms the mind. It reduces inflammation. It resolves malabsorption. You get a lot more from your supplements. And through that, deficiencies are resolved. It supports the immune system in a drastic way, reduces the toxic overload, and the exhaustion is actually something that is invigorating because it's an exhausting treatment, and I won't hold that back. Okay, now let's look at infections first. We know Helicobacter pylori, and I see already there is one question asking, you know, is it not better to treat that with probiotics? Certainly, you don't do just one thing alone, but let's just say, and you will understand the concept of hyperthermia as we go on, as an adjunct treatment to many other things that you can do. It's not just one thing and that cures everything. You know me, that's something I would never say and I never proclaim, and it's not true. There is not one fix for everything, but it's a very powerful fix to deal with those cells in a very specific way. Now, if you type in infections in Dr. Google, you'll find that there is plenty of images you actually don't want to see. They're very unpleasant. And that's a common thing we all have. If you then look at tick bites with Lyme's disease, or you have fungus between your toes, you have mold in the house that you breathe in that taxes your lungs and your skin, all of that is something that we need to address. Now, the normal function, how your body addresses that, is very simple. As soon as you have a splinter or something that enters through your skin, a hurt, a viral infection, bacterial infections, then that goes in, and that chemical signal that is created by those bacteria then triggers your system to dilate the blood vessels. You can see they're very slim here. They get wider, and that allows the bigger macrophages, the killer cells, to get to that area and then to eat up all the bacteria, clean up the whole area and go out. And then they go back into the bloodstream and go out via liver. That's the detox process. Now, to achieve this dilation, increased blood flow, and to allow those white blood cells to penetrate into that extracellular area, your body heats up that area. And that's done by your white blood cells. As soon as they attack a system, it actually produces pyrogens, and those pyrogens in the blood, they then go to the hypothalamus in your brain, and that increases your body core temperature. And that's why if it can't deal with the inflammation locally, then it sets the whole house on fire, as we call it. The whole body develops fever, and that's the process. Now, children have that ability very fast. They have a viral infection, bacterial infection, and immediately their body goes into overdrive. The hypothalamus responds very fast. The fever goes up. And as soon as fever goes up, there is one factor that we need to understand. All of your pathogens, all of your loads get heat shock proteins, and that's indicated with that little red flag. They have to admit, I'm a virus, I'm mold, I'm a bacterium. And that heat shock protein makes them visible to your immune system. Otherwise, your immune system might pass by and doesn't even recognize it. So by having heat shock proteins at the surface, they become visible to the immune system, which is greatly activated through the heat. So fever causes an increased white blood cell production. Very important. As soon as you have fever, your white blood cell in your blood, next day after the hypothermia treatment, increased blood cell count. And you will find studies on that online, plenty of them, because that's why it's used when someone has chemotherapy. The white blood cell count goes down and they have to stop the treatment. So to avoid that, we then start dealing with those white blood with fever, and that brings back the white blood cells. So fever increases host cell defense and metabolic activity. They become a lot more active. When macrophages attack, they release pyrogens, I said that before, into the bloodstream, which then travels to the hypothalamus, and that increases the body temperature, causes fever. The higher temperature helps our body to fight infections because your immune cells are a lot more active and makes the virus uncomfortable due to heat. Red flags, red hair, green hair, whatever you want to call it, but they become visible to the system. And extremely high fever can be dangerous, and we'll cover that in a moment. We want to have you safe, but it's a process that your body uses naturally to deal with infections. Now, the second part is toxins. And if you don't believe that your toxins, watch this video from WME, the Environmental Health Group, Ken Cook. Type that in, 10 Americans, and you will find that they are born with 134 carcinogens directly after birth in the umbilicum cord, which means they've inherited the toxins from the mother. 158 toxins cause brain and nervous system. Why do you think we have that increase in ADHD, ADD, all of those concentration problems, nervous problems, breakdowns, chronic fatigue? Cause infertility, 186. Well, that's also increasing drastically all around the world. And 151 cause birth defects of abnormal development. And that's another big issue that we need to resolve. Now, all of these toxins have to be taken out of your body via lymphatic system, the kidneys, and liver. Now, that's the main detox organs. Your cells actually discharge into the kidneys, into the liver, and most of it has to be transformed in the liver so that it can leave the body through the gut. It travels through the whole gut and into the waste. Now, the big problem here is in the gut, you have a lot of reabsorption. A lot of the toxins are reabsorbed into the system if they are not bound. The other problem is that your liver has an incredible amount of work to do. Now think about ongoing every day. You have pesticides, cleaning products, personal care products, air pollution, air fresheners, alcohol, food additives, medication dramatically, water pollution, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides in your food. And all of that needs to be transformed by that poor little liver. Well, that can be an overwhelm. And that's why we bypass that whole system when we use sauna. Instead of going through that chemical breakdown, we bypass all of that and pull it through the skin. And that's why saunas are #1 treatment for everyone who has degenerative diseases, who has infections, and has toxicity. Now, sauna is mostly for toxicity. Fever is for both toxicity and for infections. And that's why a far infrared sauna will heat up your blood. The blood circulates through the body, heats up your body core temperature, and you sweat from the inside out. That's why they are so much more effective than the Finnish sauna, where the heat comes from the outside and your body cools down by sweating. That works too, but it causes more dehydration and doesn't really bring out the toxins. And far infrared turns that around. You heat up from the inside and you sweat all the toxins out. Sauna is perfect for detoxification, but cannot achieve fever. Very important. You can sit in a box like this for 6 hours. I've actually tried 3 hours on full power, no body core temperature rising. It just has not enough energy to achieve that. Now, when you lay in the dome, it's actually pretty tight. It's very close around you, and it has an increased power setting. You can get the same dome from Clearlight as a sauna dome, or you can buy the Hyperthermia dome, which has a lot more energy to achieve that high fever state. And that's why it's specially built by Clearlight for us. If you want one from Clearlight, not from us, just go and say you would like to have a truly healed dome, and then they know that you want to use it for hypothermia. Now, the advantage is that you can use it for both. If you just go into the dome for 20 minutes, you have a triple sauna, very powerful, very intense, and you're done. And if you want to use it as a fever, as a hypothermia session, you can very comfortably stay in there for 2, 3, 4 hours and really make that an intense treatment. And for those of you who've been in Germany or have been in a clinic and know how it works, have had that treatment, you will know that this is a very, very powerful tool that transforms all other treatments or improves all other treatments dramatically. Okay, research. On the website, underneath Hyperthermia Dome, just scroll down, you'll find sauna research, and we've only put a few in there. There is hundreds more. Sauna research, what it helps, what it does in different situations, and how it helps your body. And then we have hypothermia research. Again, we've just selected some of the easy to read because there is a lot of very technical protocols that make it quite challenging to understand, but these are the most easy to read and to understand for Lyme's disease, for bacterial loads, and for cancer treatments, and why they are used so effectively. And let me just open up the Hyperthermia Dome on our website. I don't know if I can change. Let me just see very short if I can. I stop that sharing. Now I switch over to my other screen, which is our website, and start screen share. Okay, now you see this. Now we scroll down to this research, and I really want you to understand that it's not a voodoo treatment. It's not something you would like to disregard. You want to use it. And now just clicking on this research, it opens up with the abstract. And then you can read exactly what they did, what kind of temperatures they were using, the response of different bacteria. It's very easy to navigate through, and that will give you a great overview. Plus, you have all the research for sauna. And I just want to show you again, there is a lot of videos. Trish is doing hypothermia since a long time. She's been in Germany and in Switzerland in a clinic, learned how to do it there. She does it regularly now. Let's say every second week for maintenance. In the beginning, she did it every week, and she's now cancer-free, which is an amazing thing. Here is another video that shows the background of hypothermia. Then you have here Liz from Netherlands. She's doing it for hypothermia. Here is my suffering part, my suffering video. We have here a video that shows that we have no EMF whatsoever in the dome. Wait before you order. We have here you can order the iCelsius, the temperature control, but I cover that very specifically in this video that you can see. And here I show you exactly how it works and how you use it most wisely and in the best way. All right. Now let me just stop this again and switch back to our slideshow where I would like to show you how we do it. Now for that, if I can manage it this time without crashing the whole system again, we'll switch over to our other camera, which is here behind me. And you can see now the Hyperthermia Dome and our little gang of gangsters. And I hope this all works. I'm in the picture, so I hope you can see me as well. This is the dome. Now, this is an old model. We've been using hypothermia since almost 6-7 years, since we learned how valuable it is. And that's when we started to rent them out, give them to clients, have treatments with patients. My son is using it. The whole family is using it as an ongoing treatment protocol. I have 4 domes. We've given them out to clients to work at home with it if they couldn't afford. So it's something that has a lifetime warranty, and you don't need to worry about it. They last forever. Let me just talk about the different elements. Number 1 is the mat. It has a memory foam, non-toxic, with big far infrared heaters, the same heaters as you have in the dome. So they are extremely effective, no EMF, and true far infrared. A lot of people talk about the biomat as a really cool thing to produce far infrared waves. If you cut the biomat open, It has an electric heat wire, just like a standard heat blanket in it. And that heats up the stones, which are supposedly to emit far infrared. Well, that's not far infrared. So this is true far infrared, 1100 nanometers, really powerful to penetrate very deep and to give you the power. Now you have a little handheld device, and this powers on its own separately. So you can actually take this mat and use it as a heat mat in your bed, regulate on 1 or 2 and keep the temperature low at night. And it's non-toxic. It has no electric waves, no heat wire in it. It's true far infrared. That's number one. The second part is the upper and lower dome. Now the domes, I would like to see, I hope you can see it. Yep, they have, let me just slide that around. You can see here without everything falling down. Can you see it? Yep. We have down here a foot plate that heats 2 lower parts, which are very intense. And then we have the upper dome, which is extremely powerful. And that's where we have, hasta la vista. And that's where we have enhanced the energy. And that's very important. You want that top part of the dome to be strong enough to really penetrate the torso and penetrate your body to heat up. And that's what we've done with those extra heaters in the top dome. Now they're controlled, the lower part and the upper part separately. So you can control the lower dome and the upper dome individually. And that's very, very good because it gets very hot at your feet. It gets extremely hot. You know, if you have big feet and they stand up and they're heated from below and from underneath, and the mat can get very hot too. So when you go into the dome and it gets too hot, it gets unbearable and it feels like you're burning, well, turn down the lower dome to about 4. Reduce the energy output of the mat to about 4, and then you can stay a lot longer. And try to keep the top dome on full power. And that allows you to adjust. I'm very sensitive with my feet. I hate hot feet. So I turn it already in the beginning to about 6 and then turn it down to 4 because I think it's very unpleasant. And otherwise it's okay. So control for the mat separately and control for your lower dome and upper dome through this. Now the temperature will go for 1 hour. And that's usually the heat up time that we say. The dome is powerful enough, if your body has learned to develop fever, to bring you up in about 35 to 40 minutes to fever, which is really powerful. That's even shorter than a Heckle bed, which is a $25,000 medical device. So you can bring up fever very fast, but you need to learn how your body responds. Don't force it, don't push too hard, make it that it's comfortable, that you really feel how your body reacts. So that's this. We have with the dome, and let me just put this down, that it's out of the way because I don't need it anymore. We have with the dome 2 big towels that we would recommend you put onto this mat. You sweat like crazy, so you need to cover your body, your blanket with 2 towels and put them down. We also recommend that you take a third one and put that here over the top. So when you have that towel here, it's nice. There is a shield, which we don't like to use. It's synthetic, it's not very pleasant. This way, when you lay down here, you roll 1 towel up for your head to lay on, and it's all shielded. The warmth stays in, but it's nice organic cotton around your neck, a lot more pleasant. So that's how you set it up. The power points are on the side. You just plug it in, plug it to the power board, and then you start. Now, let me just introduce you to probably the most important tool of all. And those of you who have had hypothermia, you know that you need to have temperature control. And I'll cover that again in our security feature, but I would like to show you how it works because it is absolutely mandatory and important. Now, this is a little wireless device that you can put in on the side, feed it in, and it goes either vaginal for females or rectal as a butt plug, as I call it, into your rectum, and it controls core body temperature. Why is that so important? There is only one danger in hypothermia, only one single one, and that is when your body overheats. When your body temperature goes too high, at about 42 Celsius, the protein starts to coagulate. And that coagulation then leads to clotting and chemical processes that you don't want. They are not helpful for your system and they can cause difficulties. Now, if I turn this on, I can see on Android, tablet, mobile phone, anything, I can see this wireless network. So I select the iCelsius network. Once I'm connected, I go to iCelsius, which is a little app that you can download for free. And that shows you this screen. And I hope you can see it. I might go closer to the other image. You can change here to Fahrenheit. You can change back to Celsius. And that is something you put at the side. You put that somewhere so that you can see it. Maybe not the person who is in the dome, but the control person, the second person who helps you, needs to keep an eye on this all the time. Now, let me just switch over to that camera short because I really want to show you that very, very detailed. So just come over with me. Change. And save. Can you see me? Okay. Well, at least I can see myself, so I hope it works. Now, this is the screen of the iCelsius. And if I would set here an upper limit, you can see there is upper limit and it's set to 31 degrees Celsius. Now that can be switched to 87.8. Now that's only to cover my body finger temperature, and I hope I have hot enough fingers to show you. Now the temperature in the room is 23.8. Now as soon as I touch this little thermometer, which is by the way elastic, very comfortable, very small, you can put a little condom over the top or a plastic sleeve and then insert it. Now, as soon as I touch that, you can see that the temperature goes straight up. And I hope that's visible and clear enough on that screen. But you can see the temperature goes up very, very fast. And as soon as we have then the temperature that is set in our upper marker, you will hear an alarm. Now, that's key. That's the most important part because that will allow you to turn off exactly. Now I have cold fingers today. Yesterday it worked. I did a training session. Now I hope it's still rising. I set it to 31. Let me just go and change my temperature setting to not Fahrenheit. Cancel. I don't know. Upper limit. And we change to, let's say, 29. 29, you can see that, very easy and okay. And now I touch it again, temperature goes up. I could put it in my mouth, but I don't know if it has been in a butt, so I won't do that. Now you can see it's going up, 28, and as soon as it reaches the 29, which I've set as a control point, come on, my fingers can't be that cold, it will start with an alarm. And that alarm, look at this, I don't have warm enough fingers. 28.6456, come on. Now that's frustrating. Yesterday I had 32 degrees in my fingers. Okay. I hope it was clean. But you can see the alarm coming on. And that alarm tells you now you pull the plug from the wall. And when the plug is pulled from the wall, it actually keeps you safe. Now, we said this for the first session, when you ever go into your very first treatment, to 37. And I have covered and translated that back and forth. 37 is your starting point. So we set it to 38, 38.5, pull the plug. And then observe whether your body goes up in temperature, whether there is still a rise. If you have done it before, you know how your body responds. You can set it to 38.5 or 39 and then pull the plug. You don't want to heat yourself all the way up to the end. You want to have a treatment that is safe. Now you can see I can slide here together. Okay, go away. I can slide the time, which means I can see my curve going up to all the points. See, that was when I had it in my mouth. My temperature in my mouth is a lot warmer, and it indicates as red. So it was passing through that barrier, and that's how you can monitor. Now you can take all your chart, put it together, and then make a screenshot or share it and keep it for safekeeping. This is a dream tool. This is a medical device, $2,000, $3,000, and it's as accurate as a medical device, which you get with our dome for free. Now that's a great thing. We've added them to our protocol because I saw people using ear temperature, mouth temperature, all not accurate. We don't want that. We want you to be super safe when you do the treatment, and that's why we've added it now to the protocol. Now, that was the how. Let me go through the checklist, and let me turn on the checklist now that you can see that checklist, because this is crucial. Start screen share. I hope you can see the screen now. Okay. Now that was the how. Now let's go through the checklist. And this is important. Always keep that checklist printed out. It comes with the dome. It's a little checklist, and tick off everything that is important, because you don't want to miss out on any of those steps. Lay mat on a soft surface. Cover with 2 layers of towels. Check. Set up the upper dome on mat. Plug in. Install the upper dome on mat. Plug in all components to the controller. Get 1 large towel to cover the top opening. You realize, for protection that the heat stays inside. Roll another towel up as a headrest. Get 2 smaller towels to soak in a big basin of cold water. Now that's very, very important. You want the second person that does the treatment with you to have a big bucket. I always put ice cubes into it as well, so that it really stays nice and cold, because you want to be cooled down efficiently in your head area. You don't need to suffer and have a glowing head. It glows anyway from the increased blood flow. Prepare with loads to drink. I'll cover that in a moment as well, because you can do a lot. Alkaline the body before you go in, and we'll speak about that. Turn all components, including the mat, on 9 full power. And then if you stay long enough in it, you can reduce the lower part, or the legs and the mat that you lay on about 4 or 5, but keep the middle part as strong as you can. Dress in a long john or cotton long sleeves, long legs pajama. Now this is another very, very important point, and let me just look into your eyes because this is important. You want to have the sweat running off will cool. So if you go naked into the dome and you have a treatment where all the sweat runs off, you're cooled all the time. And every bit of breeze and every bit of wind will take that cooling to you. Whereas if you have a long john on, and you know there is those onesies, and get something organic cotton and put that on, which means the sweat will stick to you. The whole suit glues to you. You can even put socks on. And as soon as you do, that temperature will hold the heat within. The sweat doesn't run off. There is plenty. It's all soaked. It's all wet afterwards, but it holds the heat a lot better. And that's something that I always recommend that you keep in mind, because that will help you to increase your body core temperature a lot. Dress in a long john, climb into the dome, and start the marathon under supervision. I don't want you to do that alone. I know people who do it alone. I have a good friend. He's going into the dome, goes all the way up to heavy fever, and does it all on his own. And I always say don't, but you know, male, New Zealand, Kiwi, tough guy, don't do it. Have someone with you who maintains an overview. It's a lot safer. Okay. Set the temperature control to 38, I said, to start with, which is 100.4 Fahrenheit, as a safety precaution for your first 2 treatments. And then observe what your body does. If your body goes afterwards, you pull the plug at 38, but stay in the dome. Now the temperature goes up to 39, 39.5. You know you have a heat reaction, you have a body reaction. Your body does its on his own a fever result, and that's something really great. Now, as soon as you know how your body responds, you may take it up to 39, but don't do that on the first time. Don't overstretch your limits. Check it out. If you turn it to 102.2 Fahrenheit and then pull the plug and stay in the dome, you will realize that your fever may still go up. I had a young guy. He went into the dome and it was his very first treatment. And you can see the video below. It's where this pretty young lady looks after Michael. He went in and he had melanoma on his legs. Very, very dangerous cancer. He went in and, we pulled the plug at 38 and he went up to 41 and was, even if we lifted the dome, we cooled down as much as we could. He was full on developing fever. It lasted for almost 2 hours. Extremely hot. Well, he's now cancer-free. So there is a lot of power when your body gets rid of those pathogens, flags all your viral load, bacterial load, and then your immune system can address it. So it's an exhausting treatment, but it can be extremely effective, especially, and we'll cover that as you combine it with other treatments. So let me switch back. I just always want to see you in between, that it's not just that slideshow boring through. Climb into the dome, set temperature control, insert the thermometer. You do that when you lay in, you roll to your side, and then plug in that butt plug, as I call it, into the rectum and monitor carefully. Watch out that it's deep enough inside that it's consistent results. If it's just 2 millimeters in, it might slip out and you get false readings, which is certainly not good. Enjoy the heat. It's your healing and relax time, at least at the start. Then you go into that battle phase where you try to, well, battle the heat. Your body tries to reduce, cool down, and avoid the fever. But as soon as it tips, as soon as your body starts going into 38, 38.5, from that moment on, it's very pleasant, very relaxing, and you can stay in forever. Not really, but it's not as hard anymore. Your guardian should, will have to. I don't think you can do it without. Cool your head with cool water and wet towels. And you can see that in that video with me in the dome, or when I put Sabrina through the dome. That is a very important part of the treatment. You need to cool the head. It's nice to have that personal touch, to have someone look after you, to wipe you down, to wipe your brow, wipe your chin, your mouth, cool down, give you something to drink. Ongoing. It's a full-time job. This is a full-time job and requires a lot of dedication and consciousness of the person that does it with you. So have them watch that video as well. Share, do it together. One person does it for the other. I do it with my wife and vice versa, but there is also 2 patients that can do it together and help each other. Just always the one who is keeping an eye on temperature is very, very important. Write down all significant information. Observations, like let's say you start crying at 38.5 and you really have a mental emotional breakdown. What it is about, what are the feelings about? Write it down and then afterwards talk about it. Hyperthermia is known to be that melting of emotional blockages, not only tumors, but also melting of emotional blocks that disintegrate and are released. So you might be a very, very angerly person, very in control, very charged, very, you are in charge. What happens here, all of a sudden, the weak side comes forth and you allow yourself to be weak, and that works. A lot of people who go in who are always friendly, always nice. We had an elderly lady going into the dome. She was in there and cursing and screaming and bitching and, going against the world, and could have killed the doctor and could have killed the nurse. It was the opposite coming out. What's suppressed very often finds relief in a hyperthermia session. Dr. Rao said it's one of the most powerful psychological treatments that we have, and they combine it with foot massage, with hand massage, to trigger those points and release those blocks. So you can play around with that. It's very, very valuable to do. All right, now back to my screen. Makes it more interesting going back and forth. I like that. Pull the plug when you've reached the set temperature. Very important. Let the body do its job on its own. when it kicks into own fever reaction. I said that before. You might pull the plug at 38, but your body still goes up to 40. Now you want to keep your body temperature at or below 40. If it gets too hot, and I'll show you that in a moment, try to ventilate the dome. It is really important. See, I forgot to show you that before, so I stop here, switch back to my other camera. Hey, I quite like that setup. It really makes this interesting. So now we go back to the dome. I pull it all the way forward that you can see it better. Now let's just say this is the dome set on top of each other, and you can see here this end. Now the person is laying here, and it's all hot inside because this is all covered up, so they can't get any air out. Now one part would be you open up here and let some of the hot air steam out. This is already a way to control temperature. But if that's not sufficient, because it's still a long tube where all the heat is stocked, then you can lift up that bottom part and just roll a towel and leave that in here. Now that allows the hot air to come out here. And when you go in with your hand, you will feel there is like big steam from all the sweating coming out. Keep an eye on the temperature. Keep an eye on your control. You don't want to go higher than 40, especially in the beginning. At a later stage, you might want to go to 41 when you know your body, when you know how you react, but don't go higher than that. Moderate means we stay at 40 to maximum 41. So, and you see the calculation on the screen. I'm not good with Fahrenheit. So that's how you control it. If it's too hot, just open up all the way and let the hot air out and then close back down. Try to keep it at that 40 level if it goes that high. If it's at 39, just keep it close. Just keep it safe. All the work's very important. And I hope you got that means. Ventilation, heat. Otherwise, keep it all close to maintain the heat. And it might be that you put up the heat and reduce the heat too much. It's a learning curve. Nobody is ever perfect on its first go, but you can try. All right, now let's go back to my other screen and to our slides. Now I look directly into the light and can't see my screen anymore. Okay, pull the plug when you have reached temperature, let the body do its job, keep temperature at or below 40. When you are really, really advanced, you can go to 41 with cooling and ventilation technique. Now, if temperature goes way too high, which can be, then I recommend you to really take off the dome. You can take wet towels, cool down the calves, which is, you know, the ankles, the feet, and the calves. And that's how you soak out the heat. If it goes into full overdrive, you can always cool the body by really wrapping it into cold towels to bring the temperature down. But we've never experienced that. So don't be scared. That's just a precaution that you can, you know, familiarize yourself with. It's not something that we've already witnessed. It's like the body knows exactly. I can go to 41 and it's safe, and that's where it keeps if you go that high at all. All right, stay as long as you can. If you need to pee, which is very often the case, a lot of people, when they drink a lot, even though you sweat a lot, they might need to pee. Use a bedpan or males a bottle. And you can get that at any pharmacy shop. I would have that present. I don't need it. I can stay 3-4 hours without a problem, 6 hours, but some can't. So if you have that desire, if you go out of the dome and you go back in, you start more or less from scratch. So try to get a bedpan or males a bottle, and then you can stay nicely in the dome. Males can cover their genitals with a towel or cloth. Can be very hot. Tell you what, it's exposed, it's up in the dome, it's where the heat concentrates most. So put a towel over the top, a little towel to cover, put it in your undies, and that's a very good way to protect yourself. If your feet and bottom are too hot, turn down the lower dome and the mat. I said that already. Keep around 4 to maintain temperature, and you don't want to cool out. So don't take it down to 2 and then you cool down and then you bring it back up to heat. 4 is probably a very pleasant level for everybody to maintain heat, and that's what we do. Even if I have reached full fever, or Sabrina has reached full fever, we keep it at about 4 or 5 to really maintain that energy level and to stay as long as we can. 1 hour is kind of minimum if you can. And that is not the time to heat up. 1 hour after you've reached temperature. So the curve is going up, and once it's leveled out and you have your 39 fever, let's say, then you maintain that for an hour. If you can longer, 2 hours, that's perfect. Don't do it too long, it's exhausting. So just keep the fever as long as you can until you feel, okay, now it's enough, I want to get out. That's usually with me after 15 minutes, but then my wife keeps me longer in the dome and talks to me, distracts, and then all of a sudden an hour and a half is over, and you will feel the difference. See, the heat up time is the exhausting part. The fever part is where the body develops all the white blood cells, produces huge amounts of white blood cells. So you want to stay in that stage as long as you can. Drink, 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 drink. You can easily drink a liter or 2 while you're in the dome, and you can make that very pleasant with vitamin C, with sodium bicarbonate. You can add some liposomal vitamin C. You can have an alkalining drink. You can have a magnesium drink. Make it pleasant. You know, it's something that is lubricating, flushing out, and it makes this whole treatment quite pleasant. When your temperature drops and you want to cool down to 39, which is 102 Fahrenheit, then get someone to help you when you get out. You might be dizzy, and we don't want you to fall. So be very careful. Get someone to hold you when you get up, and then walk over to the shower, get undressed, and then go under a warm shower. Not cold. You don't want to crash the system. Warm shower, just gently wash off all the toxins from your skin. Dress in cotton or wool. Or we always say dress in cotton pajamas, something that you can, because you will keep sweating for a while. And wool to keep you warm. Wool is a perfect insulator. So wrap yourself in wool and then go back to bed and sleep as long as you can. At that stage, you will notice that it feels like you've done a marathon. You've done a lot of work. That's something you need to, sleep off. And your body is full on working now. White blood cells, all your pathogens have been flagged with red hair and with flags and heat shock proteins. So there is lots of going on. And you will want to allow that body that healing time. So you keep sweating and you can sleep and take time out as healing time. The Arcadia Clinic does something very beautiful, and I really like that. There is a video underneath with Lisa, and that shows you how you can do drawings before visualization of how your body is riddled with Lyme disease and bacteria, and then afterwards how you feel after the treatment. And it's very, very powerful because your body feels so clean. It's amazing. Now, question, how often? Sauna, every day, every second day, if you so like. There is no question, no limitation. 15 minutes in the dome, 20 minutes in the dome, or 9, you will be soaking wet, it runs off. That's when you go in naked. So sauna treatment, just go in your undies or naked on a big towel, and you will sweat like crazy. And you can do that daily. It's very easy set up, very fast, and very easy stowed away. So you can even do it in very tight environments. Hyperthermia, not more than once a week to start with. This is important. Hyperthermia is a cumulative treatment. It builds up. It's the first time will flag your cells. The second time will detoxify. Like it's ongoing, a build-up of more and more white blood cells, more and more immunity, immune system clearing out. It's like it's building more and more. So if you feel better, you can reduce it, like Trish, to once every 2 weeks or even 3 weeks as a maintenance pack before you go on a trip when you want to have a full power immune system. Thinking of going, into a country where you have disease or viral loads or bacterial loads, or that you're going to get, I had very bad Rachos de Montezuma, in Mexico, diarrhea, before going on a trip and when coming home from a journey. Also very, very crucial, because that's when you want your immune system to really work, when you want to recover from jet lag, when you want to achieve high performance like sport or competitions. Like I said, the Gesund Klinik in Germany does amazing treatments for sports and athletes that they offer. Now, when you feel that the flu or cold is building up in your system and you want to, well, get that healing process over and don't wait 3 days for coming and 3 days for going, you can speed up the process and have it all done with. And when you're stressed and need a deep, relaxing and healing sleep, have a long extended sauna treatment. You don't need to go up in high fever, but you will feel that you sleep like dead. Like you should sleep. Something really relaxing and really powerful. Now, how to combine alkaline. While and before, we use Basica. It's very powerful. Sodium bicarbonate dilutes or destroys your stomach acid. And a lot of people, they take sodium bicarbonate as a cancer treatment, and then they have undigested food, massive deficiencies, and all sorts of gut problems. Don't do that. Sodium bicarbonate is not good for your stomach HCl, which you need to break down food. Basica doesn't do that. So it's a prescription remedy, but it's powerful beyond, and we use it really with all our clients. Basica is great. Alkaline water, if you have, during and before the treatment, not with food. I say that very clearly, but you shouldn't eat heavily before you go into the dome anyway. Antioxidants, Trish goes very clearly to have IV vitamin C. Then she has IV vitamin V. Okay, let's change that to C. IV vitamin C, bioenergy C, liposomal C. If you don't have an IV drip, glutathione, you can get the spray. You can buy yourself astaxanthin. There's plenty of strong antioxidants. So you want to prime your body with that added bonus. And that's what they do in clinics. They give you glutathione IV and vitamin C or artemisia as a drip, and then you go into the hypothermia dome. And that just expedites the process even more, because through that dilation of your blood vessels, all those goodies, all those antioxidants travel straight to cancer cells, to tumors, and are absorbed and then start cleaning up the system. Supplements, electrolytes, because you lose a lot of water. So you want to have electrolytes. Get yourself a little pack at the pharmacy. You can also use a pinch of salt, and I mean that Himalayan salt, something which is rich in minerals. Magnesium, you can take that magnesium citrate, zinc, selenium, really supplement that your body has all the tools to deal with invaders. Your white blood cells need plenty of zinc and selenium to actually fight off the cancer. They need vitamin C. So adding that to the protocol will make it very, very efficient. And this is how most of our patients do it. We have a few doctors here that give you IV supplements, IV infusions. So all of them have a PMF first. When you've seen the PMF video, it widens all your cells, it activates all systems, it increases the absorption rate, it starts a process of detoxification. So you start PMF, then you drive over to the doctor, have your IV supplementation, glutathione, whatever they give you, and there is plenty. I would talk to your doctor to boost your immune system and to give you, if possible, high-dose vitamin C. And then you go home and have your hypothermia session. This is the process that you have in a clinic. Now, if you want to go to a clinic, we have here Dr. Valerie Coles in the Gold Coast offering hypothermia treatment. There is clinics at the East Coast, West Coast. There is some in America. They usually do it undercover. They don't do it publicly. In Germany, every clinic. In Denmark, in Sweden, in Switzerland, in Austria, every clinic offers hypothermia. So it's a normal thing there. In America, it's a little on the edge, and some people just think it's too exhausting, so they won't implement it as well. But it is the most powerful treatment of all. And that brings us to how to be safe. Now, that's very important. There is three very significant things that you need to watch out. breast implants, if they get too hot, and they usually have, or very often have, infections, they have already a problematic situation. If you go in and you have too hot, rather put a towel over the top or put something cooling on top to prevent that. They are right up on top. They are very exposed to the radiation. You want to be careful. I know that they even do local hypothermia, very hot onto that area with far infrared waves, but it should be controlled. You need to be very careful. So if you have breast implants, cover that up. Scar tissue. If you had surgery, your scar tissue, as you know, when you get into the sunshine, and far infrared is part of the sunshine, it can burn. It's very, very sensitive skin. So if you have that, you would want to cover that part up with a little strip, with a little bit of a cloth to not burn yourself. A friend of mine has been in Germany and he had big scars on his belly and he had the full body hypothermia and had burnings afterwards. So scar tissue is very crucial. Now, very often when somebody had radiation burns, those radiation burns, they heal up at the surface and they all look very good after a while. But internally, think about radiation as a nuclear bomb being dropped on the skin. Everything is dead. It's like the whole environment, all the blood circulation, everything is dead. Your immune system is already on a complete overload to repair that. And all the blood vessels have been destroyed. There is no immune system in that area. It's radiated deadland. Now think about you bombard that with far infrared, with sunlight, it will be quite intense. So if that's the case, talk to your practitioner first, talk to your doctor first. You don't want to have that flare up, even if it's on the surface quite okay. I had some other pictures where it was already healed at the surface, but underneath was still all damaged tissue. So be careful in those areas. Put something extra on top, cool that area down, and start very gentle. Start with the sauna treatment and see how it feels. Start with 10 sauna treatments before you start thinking of going up in temperature. And heart problems. Always monitor with your doctor, because if you have heart problems, it can be exhausting. It feels like climbing a mountain. You know, once you're there, it's like heaven on earth. But to get there is an exhausting exercise. So if you are already having serious heart issues, speak with your doctor, keep an eye and monitor everything carefully. Now, how to be safe also includes what I already said, that temperature control. And if you look, those ear temperature controls, as inaccurate as they can be, don't use them for hypothermia. You want core body temperature. Now you can do also the mouth, very inaccurate. You don't want to do that either. Butt plug, you know, put it in your butt and it's soft and flexible and it works perfect. Now you type in core body temperature measurement in the butt and you will find plenty of images on how to put it in. I was quite surprised. And I have a little video on the website as well about the iCelsius, how it's used, how you connect and what the readings are. It's a very, very beautiful tool. And we've added it to your protocol so that you're safe and that I don't need to worry that you forgot to order that. Okay, how to be safe. This is the video that I said to you. So when you lay down, it's hard to drink. Get long straws that you put in and then drink your magnesium drink, vitamin C. You know, in 2 hours, you can drink a lot. And if it tastes nice, it's a lot easier. So just put everything in liposomal vitamin C and keep on drinking. Cool the head with wet towels. Don't make too small towels. You want something that holds the coolness quite a bit. Second person to monitor temperature and to help you out, to cool you down, and monitor pulse and oxygenation. We add to our package a little pulse checker, these, how do you call them, oximeters, and you can use them on your finger. We have the results on the finger and then we put it on our earlobe so that you can monitor it the whole time. And it actually was very, very similar. The pulse was a little bit lower on the ear and the oximeter was not as accurate, but who cares? You just want to be safe that you're not going higher than, let's say, 120. You don't want to overburden. Then you go slower, reduce the heat, and go slower into that. And that's a very nice way to monitor that as well. Why not? This is a subject that a lot of people, have all sorts of excuses to do that treatment. Number one, it's a tough treatment. It's an exhausting treatment. When you have done it a few times, you will know that it's something that you have to convince yourself each time. But let's just go the other way. Because you may be scared to do something that is not offered by your doctor or by conventional treatments. If it's not, then it's only because you're in the wrong country. You know, it's normal in many countries. It's standard in many places. It's not in yours. So that's regulations, laws, all sorts of things. It's maybe only your doctor that doesn't do it. So shop around. Doctors are service providers. If my electrician doesn't give me what I want, I go to someone else. Now that should be the same with your doctor. If you don't get what you want, go somewhere else. So you can have those treatments. Like I said, even here in Australia, it's now very popular. There is hyperthermia clinics, and Dr. Valerie Coles does an amazing job. She even has a local hyperthermia. So do it there. Have 2 or 3 treatments. They are a lot more expensive because the room, the nurse, the whole setup, they need to charge for it. So if you know how it works, you know how your body responds, and then start doing it at home, and it's a lot safer because you're scared to cause harm. As I said, very easy to avoid. If you are careful and start slow, you start with sauna first, see how your body responds. Then you go to 38 and pull the plug and see how your body goes up. Then you go to 38.5, then you go to 39. Build up slowly. Don't overburden your system and cause stress. The more you feel safe, the more you gently ease into it, the better the results. Because stress is not healthy. So avoid stress, because you've learned that fever is a disease. Now that's one of our biggest objections. People are brainwashed. Fever is a healing reaction of the body. Never ever, and they suppress it with children. They stop the learning process. The body learns by having fever how to deal with bacteria, fungi, mold, and virus, and learns how to fight them. Your immune system has a learning ability. It recognizes certain viral loads, bacterial loads, once it has dealt with it. And that happens during fever. So it's a healing reaction that you need to use. Don't go too high, don't go too long. If it stays on the fever for a few days, call the doctor. You want to bring it back down. But as a healing response, it's fabulous. Because you don't want to, what to do when your fever goes high. Okay. There is, even if you just type into Google what to do, you can take a Panadol. You can put around your calves a cold cloth, a cold towel, and that soaks out the heat. You can ventilate. You can wrap the whole body in cold towels and bring down the fever. You can go and help someone under the shower and wash them off with cold water. Fever can be reduced quite dramatically, but let's just say, very, very importantly, if you have a reaction like this, if your body goes into overdrive and heats up, let's say you pull the plug at 38 and your body goes up in fever, you will realize that it doesn't go higher than 41, 41.5. The body, the hypothalamus in your brain has that natural response to cool down, doesn't go higher, but it will keep the fever there. If there is a high viral load or high bacterial load, it will maintain that fever for quite a while, and that's what you want. This is a healing response, so don't get stressed and put it straight down. Keep it as high as you can, as long as you can, and let it go its natural course. When you are done after 2 hours, 3 hours, cool down, bring your fever down, and there is plenty of ways. One very effective way is having an it will bring down your temperature right away. So that's just some precautions, because you have not one to help and to monitor the progress. I said, we have tough Kiwis that do it, and the person who is responsible will understand what I mean, who I mean. Don't do it. Get someone to share this with. See, if You're alone at home, you don't want to go into fever. You can do sauna, but you don't want to go into fever. Get someone to help, get one of your children to help, discuss with other cancer people, other people who have Lyme disease. You want to share treatment with me? Would you like to learn about it? Watch this webinar, watch this program, and then we can cover it. But do it with someone else, because your family or doctor doesn't support you. Okay, that's the case, don't do it. That's not honest. I would do it just out of opposition, me, but that's probably not you. So if you have that issue that someone doesn't support you in your family, okay, wrong camera. Let me bring you back to me. Okay, look, here we are, and save. Now, if your family doesn't support you, it's anyway a challenge. And I know they oppose, they believe what the doctor says. They try to convince you to do chemo and radiation because they love you. And that's the norm, that's the standard, that's what everybody else does, so you do too. Well, education is the only way to change that. If you show them how ineffective those treatments are, if you show them how ineffective all of those conventional treatments are, and how much research there is to combat all of those side effects, that's how you can gain them over. So ask them to talk to a doctor, ask them to call one of those German doctors that offers it. You know, speak with them, get them to learn about what's there. Education widens the horizon. It's your job to convince them, but don't do it against their will, because they afterwards come after me and say, Marcus said you are supposed to do that. I'm not. I tell you to learn about it, to see why it's used in many countries and how well it's used. And that's something that you can take as a learning curve. See, I do it every second week and I love it. I go to travel next week to America, to England. I will definitely do it because it's October in England, rain, cold, wet. So before I get cold, before I get a flu, I'll have that treatment to boost my immune system and to survive that long flight. So this is something that you need to do in your own responsibility, and get your partner to look at the video, get them to learn about what it does, talk to a doctor, see whether your doctor actually helps you prepare and incorporate them into that treatment. And they might find something very valuable to combat side effects. Do the research and then start. Don't battle the system. Surprise! Well, I think you've been waiting for it, and I just want to cover that very, very short. We noticed that a lot of people order the dome, and I'll turn on screen sharing again to show you my slide. Okay, here we go. Start screen share. You can see it. A lot of people have been ordering the dome, but then they never ordered all the accessories, or they don't know where to get them. And I see already in our questions underneath, where do I get the thermometer? How can I do this? Where do I get the oximeter? And what is important? So we've packaged for you, very special, everything together, and created a special account with iCelsius. We have actually a real top monitor with it and software which you can download for free. 2 full body size towels, organic cotton, very beautifully to cover the sheet. The dome now has organic hemp cover. It's non-toxic, pure wood, no outgassing of any fumes, and no EMF, which is probably the most powerful. Plus you can use the mat individually as a heat mat. We've packed a pulse and oximeter into it so you can measure. Now you can test on your finger your results and then clip it to your ear. If they are very close, you can use it on your ear. Very comfortable while you're in there, because to get your hand in and out to measure, you might enjoy that, but it's very easy to just go to your ear and clip it on, and that allows the support person to really help you through. And then we've added the checklist, a very systematic checklist, and we've added a lot more supplements and tools to that to really combat the disease that you have. And to get this whole package, just enter the coupon code that you can see here, DOME_87678. Now, if you enter that code, you will get the whole package, and we've reduced shipping cost for you. So That will make it a lot easier to afford the dome. And I can tell you one thing, there is no other treatment which is more powerful over a long period of time. And now let me just go into the back end very short and cover some of the questions that have been sent in. Okay, now, where are they? Questions have been lost. No, they have not. Stop the screen, you can see me. And here is hypothermia. While streaming, my internet is a little bit slow, but it works. Okay, show live console and questions. Oh my God, we have a lot of questions. Manage questions. Sorry for the delay. Yes, we're live. It's been a bit of a technical disaster. Where can I buy the thermometer which you use in the dome? Well, it's in the package now. And if you have already the dome and you would like to buy that, just scroll down on the website and you will find, let me see if I have that here. Yes, I have that. So screen sharing again. Bear with me. I'm there almost. This is the website. Share the screen. So scroll down and then you will find here the video about the iCelsius. And then here you can order the iCelsius here. And they ship it to you and it's there in no time. Very, very easy. Next question is, where can I buy the thermometer? You wrote it many times. Does everyone have an empty black screen just as me? Oh God, I'm sorry for that, but probably yes, because we switched on and off and I couldn't get back into the old webinar, so I started a new one. How would hypothermia neutralize H. pylori and how long frequent the treatment? Would it not be better to ingest high-dose multi-strain probiotics for 6 months, the step-down transformer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you don't need to have a step-down converter anymore. We have 220 volt and 110 volt devices, and whichever country you ship from, we will send according the proper one. Now for H. pylori, it's in the gut. It's not something you can get rid of with one treatment. It's the same bacteria from Lyme's disease. You don't have one treatment that does it all, but you recognized what we do. We flag all of those cells. Through that, your immune system can address them more accurately, can kill them. If you take at the same time probiotics, if you do some other adjoint treatments, I think for H. pylori there is certain oils and remedies that you can have, you know, essential oils that work really well. There is plenty. You can all put that together. Hypothermia is not a treatment that will just kill off one thing like Rife or anything. It's a treatment that activates your immune system, produces more white blood cells, cleans up the system, and regulates your system back into equilibrium. And that's why it's so powerful as an adjunct treatment. You remember I said in the beginning, when you have treatment, you want the treatment to be supporting and strengthening all others. And that's what it does. What's the weight of the FIR dome? How does it compare to the closed hypothermia units and sets in clinics? Okay, a Haeckel bed is far infrared heaters only above your torso, and you are in those blue or green or yellow tents. You have a bit more wiggle room, but it's only those 6 heaters up on top radiating onto your main body. The Ardenne bed, which you have in the clinic, is a long stretched out bed, and it has water-cooled radiation. It's $1 million, so it's a very high-tech advanced clinics. Now, they all bring heat from underneath and from top in form of far infrared waves. We do identically the same waves, but with carbon heaters, which is a lot cheaper, and that's why we can produce and afford such a thing. So you have a carbon heater mat where you lay on, and then you have the dome with carbon heaters, and that's why you have it so densely around you. It's identically the same wavelength, but it's all around, and that helps to heat up the body a lot faster. I don't know why they don't do that in clinics, but I guess the medical process to get something approved like that, to get it legally signed off by the FDA, TGA, or anything, is a huge process. So the dome is a household item. It's something you use for sauna. If you privately convert that into a hypothermia dome and you stay longer until you reach that level, well, that's your choice. So that's why the dome does the same. We have hundreds of patients who have been to clinics who then bought the dome to continue the treatment at home, and it does identically the same. The weight of the hypothermia dome, I wouldn't know. It's pretty heavy with the mat, with everything. It's a big box that is all included. And with the controller and all of that, I would say about 50 kilos, but it's easy to store, easy to fold up and pack away. Then, okay, you transmitted your question many, many times, or it was a fault in the system, but that's, yeah, you've been pressing that button a long time. Okay, all right. Chronic fatigue. What to do with chronic fatigue? Well, we all know chronic fatigue is a problem of deficiencies, is a problem of high toxicity, and very often a non-diagnosed infectious disease. So when you start cleaning out the system, oxygenating the system, and bringing in all the nutrients, all of a sudden the body goes back into stage. Now, I had a very, very massive breakdown from mercury toxicity. Brain fog, couldn't concentrate, was completely out of myself. So that's a very, very powerful way to detoxify heavy metals. There's too many different causes that all compile and suppress your immune system. We have a whole workout for our coaches to deal with depression because and chronic fatigue, because there is so many causes that trigger all of that at once. And you remember in the beginning, I said in my slides that there are actually compounding factors. When we look at many of our chronic degenerative, patients that have depression, chronic fatigue, and mood and emotional problems, it's usually a combination of all three of the main ones, plus inflammation, and that's what you can combat. So deficiencies, you need to speak with local practitioner, nutritionist, naturopath that can help you to bring back balance into your system. Then you might have a DNA impairment, which needs to be combated with very, very specific nutrigenomic supplements. My wife is offering a DNA test. You can find that in our shopping cart. Very, very powerful to deal with all of those DNA impairments that we have, plus the toxic load and the inflammation and the infections. That's where the dome can help. We have actually a few patients, and Charlotte Gerson said it really well. She said, once the toxins leave the body, once infections goes down, the mind clears up and the body can start to think clearly again. And that's what you will feel. 4 or 5 of those treatments and everything will start to work properly again. Chronic gastritis, lupus, kidney deficiency, would hyperthermia help? I'm not so certain about kidney deficiency because you need to check that with your doctor. It certainly will increase the flow, and by drinking a lot and having that heat, I would need to check. I haven't looked at any research for kidney disease, but it's something that you can find out very easily. And I'll put now a little marker onto Sabrina and say, would you mind looking up and see if we find some research studies on that? But certainly it helps dramatically with detoxifying the body and bypassing those kidneys, bypassing the liver, and pulling out through the skin, which then relieves those organs of all the stress. So, but I'll do my research on that. Okay, if I use hypothermia and my partner doesn't support me, I think we've covered that. Try to educate your partner first. Try to get a community to change the mindset. Don't say Marcus told me to do that. I haven't, and I don't. You need to educate your surrounding, educate yourself, put the research, and if you say, yes, I want to do it, then we'll help you to guide through that process and do it safe. But I don't tell you to do it. So don't get your husband, let him watch this video and tell him to look at it, especially in the end. You know, when you see, I have a lot of partners that go with their partner to a clinic. They stay there and learn. And they realize how the partner transforms and gets better and feels amazing and their mind clears up. And then they say, hey, can I have some of those treatments too? I actually had 5 or 6 gentlemen that went through the full protocol of hypothermia, local hypothermia, gut repair, detoxification, because they noticed how helpful it was to the partner. And they now do all of those treatments at home. So maybe you find an open-minded partner that will do that as well, and you can do a huge transformation. Do you deliver FIR hypothermia dome to Arizona or Colombia? Shipping worldwide. The shipping is expensive. Some countries make it really difficult, but we ship worldwide. You will find we have, I think, 6 categories of shipping costs to New Zealand, Australia, Dubai. They are in Hong Kong. Believe me, we've delivered those domes to all around the world. The only country where they seem not to arrive is South Africa. I don't know what customs does there, but we have a outstation stock now in England, in Germany. They're in such high demand. You know, we couldn't get delivery out fast enough because so many people start using hypothermia now and thrive with it. And it's become a real, you know, super tool in your arsenal against disease. So we ship everywhere, but we clarify. If it's a critical zone where we have bad experience, we might contact you and let you know, or you might need to pick it up somewhere else. Okay. There were a few that say the video was stuck, the video was not working properly, then you lost connections with me. I'm sorry. I will have the whole recording and post that out that you can watch it at convenience, any convenience of your time. And now, for those of you who say, this is part of my treatment protocol, this is a very inexpensive treatment if you compare it with many others that covers so much ground that you actually can't miss it. And if you find someone to support you, to work with you, or to share the treatment with, share it with 2. We have in New Zealand communities, there is 5 people who bought 1 dome and they do the treatment with each other. They hand it one to the other. Very, very easy way to have stunning results and don't have the high expense. All right? Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining me at this webinar, even though it was a little bit cut off, and I hope you've learned. And if you have questions, write them underneath. I put a question and answer box underneath so that we can discuss and keep on discussing issues that you might experience with the dome.